Ah, perfect. Just the person I need to see. Firstly, loving the outfit, by the way. Really suits your hair. Secondly, the universe is falling apart. I don't have much time to yet. I need to shoot off. I need to do something. But by all means, this is imperative. Watch Type 40. The Type 40 podcast is where you need to be. Seguida!
It's time, friends. Time for Type 40 Live, materialising again here with the live stream Doctor Who magazine show all across your view screen in real time on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook too. All in front of a live chat full of friends, fans, and companions just like you. Yeah, this is where the week in the Whoniverse starts. If you may have missed it, well, we might have caught it, and it works both ways. Perhaps you've seen or heard something scandalous, stupendous, or it's just hit you right on the geek spot. You can tell us about it. If something's got your back up, or got your goat, or got your goat's back up. Even. Yes, here's the place to bring it all out at Type 40 Live.
Welcome to Type 40.
Yes. England's sobering up a little today, I think. There's probably been quite a lot of long weekends or people found in sick from work, haven't they? We'll touch on that in a couple of minutes. I hope that you're okay. This is where we're going to get you your fix of hardcore Doctor Who action. No second and first half divide as such. Well, not so clean. Anyway, no oranges at half time either. None of that. Things won't be quite so noisy, although with a couple of the panellists, you never really know. Yeah, this is where we talk about 61 years worth of Doctor Who, 15 incarnations of the Doctor with a bit of change and anything else that may cross our minds or slip our tongues. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks, and we'll find out who you are in a moment or two. Please remember, if you're watching out there in the Type 40 Facebook group, hit that little blue link, and then you know what the blue link does. Facebook will tell StreamYard who you are, and StreamYard will tell us here, and we'll all get on first name terms to start the week in geek in the TARDIS. And this TARDIS, to be precise, so it's nearly the school holidays. And whenever it's nearly the school holidays, I think of school trips and the kind of trips that I would have wanted to have gone on had I have been a child at the time. We're looking at the Doctor Who experience itself as it was in Cardiff. Of course we are. What an experience that was. And speaking of experiences, my co-host on this edition of the show, yes, she's always an experience. Hello, Shah.
Hello. I know. I'm so sorry. You don't get my face today. Only in avatar form. 'Cause my camera decided to die on me, so I'm really sorry. I hope that the microphone's working okay, though.
How dare it? Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, even if we can't see you. When you said we're going to get you in avatar form, I thought you meant like one of the blue blokes out of the movie.
Well, that's your Christmas present. There you go.
If you could go, if you were forced at gunpoint, obviously, to go to a fancy dress party, and they said you can either go as a Smurf or an Avatar, which one would you choose?
Oh, Smurf every day.
You go for the
I'm
Smurf.
5'5". Yeah, so I'm short enough to be a Smurf, I think, as well.
Yeah. Get the big white hat on. Yeah.
Anything
White
that
pants and
involves, yeah,
socks and all that kind of thing. Yeah, you'd go to town as a Smurf. Yeah, you'd make a pretty decent Smurf, I think.
Thank
Let us
you.
know in the live chat there across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X if you could be an avatar or a Smurf. Which one would that be? Instagram and X at Type40 Doctor Who. Okay, next up, let's bring him in. No time to waste. We've got our real life time traveller. He's just woken up. I better not hit him with the difficult questions. Who knows what he may say? Welcome back, Matt Pott.
Oh, I've been up for a while, actually. I've been up doing Prime deals. It's Amazon Prime Day here today, so I'm trying to
really?
Of course it is.
Yeah,
we've
so
got
I'm
another day.
trying to get some cheap. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we get everything early here. I am the future. Come on. So yeah,
Living in the future.
Yeah,
You look like you're wearing a flying helmet on this time.
I
but you're
know. I
not.
thought that too, actually.
Fighter pilot Matt Pott. Yeah, good to see you, mate. Lots to get stuck into, including some updates of some things we were talking about the other day. But yeah, it's nearly the school holidays here. I mean, I left school some years ago, Matt. I mean, it may not seem that way, but I did. I know. But I must say, the school holidays and school trips, I used to get so excited whenever those things came around, you know?
Yeah. I used to just look forward to getting some videos and going home and watching some entertainment.
Is that what you do? You
going out and
pull
about.
the curtains and watch Flight of the Navigator for the 85th time.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, well, we used to have this thing called YMCA. So a lot of us used to go to the YMCA for a couple of weeks, and they'd take us to movies and such. So yeah, Flight of the Navigator was actually one of those movies. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh.
Never Ending Story, stuff like that. Ghostbusters, I saw all that through that school holidays. It's fantastic.
Absolute heaven. I can't see whether Shah is nodding along to this, but I suspect she is. I definitely am. And I'd say that our final panelist, he's probably feeling exactly the same way too. Because Will Hadcroft, he loves a bit of nostalgia, don't you, Will?
I love it, yeah. Yeah. I was looking at that picture of the exhibition and remembering the Blackpool exhibition and the railings that went round the console like that. I absolutely loved it in there.
Bring back the railings. Used to sort of try and lunge over and see which bits you could touch before somebody would come and tell you off and tell you not to.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what did the exhibition
thing is,
because
like,
I believe
That
There
probably
was
would have got
there
thrown in
was
the skip anyway, wouldn't it?
Heaven, I would like to think it wasn't. It wouldn't. Shah, you just asking what the exhibition used to smell of?
Well, I believe that there was a little bit of a debate between Simon and Stephen about what it smelled like. Did it smell of carpet cleaner or no?
Yes, Stephen Noonan, of course. He went with the carpet shampoo option, whereas I think Simon more remembered the kind of the dry ice. So yeah, they were torn. I think that could have depended. I think they're around the same height, aren't they? I was going to say maybe one's a lot shorter than the other, so it was closer to the floor. But I don't think there's much in it. I'm not sure. So yeah, let us know what you remember the exhibition smelling of. What do you think the exhibitions used to smell of there, Will? Can you remember?
So cleaning agents, yeah. The funny thing was that when that closed in 85, and then years later, in the early 2000s, they opened another one on the front. So it wasn't the same place in the cellar; it was round the front. And I went in there, and the first thing that hit me was the smell. And I thought, it smells just like the old one. So whatever the product was, and it was really nostalgic as well. I thought, I can smell it. I'm back. So, yeah, whatever it was distinctive and the same stuff, over a decade later.
I never went to the second one, sadly. But yes, they could bring that back. We've brought you back as well, Will. Not least of all because you're a great guy and we enjoy your company, but we also wanted to get the word out because it's nearly here. Well, it was supposed to be here by now, wasn't it? They pushed it back a little bit, but we're on the threshold, aren't we, of Dark Contract being issued, being released out into the wilderness.
Yeah, it was supposed to be out on Thursday, and they've put it back to August the 1st. So it is absolute agony for me waiting for it. So hopefully on August the 1st we'll have it.
Yeah, so make sure it is up for pre-order, isn't it, Will, across Amazon and every other place on digital or as a CD. So people have got a choice.
Yeah, it's all there, the usual places. So if you like what I did last time, come and get this one.
Just in
with
time
added.
for Whoville as well, Will. Will you sign one for me?
I'll sign a copy for anybody, especially you, Shah.
Ah, thank you.
You got to pay for it first.
Of course, of course. Why wouldn't I?
Cannot wait. That's Doctor Who Dark Contract by Will Hadcroft coming soon. Not soon enough either. So who was watching the England match last night then, obviously, because it's the morning after the night before, and the nation here, Matt, we're all, even us who don't watch the football like me, I must admit I did feel really sorry for the football supporters out there when England lost in the final of the Euros to Spain last night. Will, are you a football supporter?
I'm afraid I didn't feel anything one way or the other. And I wouldn't have done it if it had won either. It's just beyond me, the hysteria of it. But I appreciate other people are passionate about it.
This is it. When you know people are passionate about these things, Shah, you don't begrudge them their pleasure, do you? Did you watch it? Were you part of that last night?
Yeah, my whole family are football supporters. So we're a rare breed, we are. We're football supporters and we're all Doctor Who fans. When does that ever happen? Yeah, I know. So yeah, we did watch it. And but to be honest, though, I felt just like Will. I didn't feel anything because I just, as much as I get into it and I want to be there and I want to see it happen, but it hasn't happened. Well, the last time it happened was 3 years ago with the girls. So I'll just remember that instead. Good old Lionesses.
Take what you can, where you can. The general line is that Doctor Who fans aren't really sports fans for the most part, but there is a crossover, obviously. But there was lots of coverage across social media about this, not least of all from our friend Chris Walker-Thompson, who said this after the great defeat. Well, now my work colleagues will understand my pain when I watch the Doctor Who finale. Chris is due back on the show very soon, but this did make me chuckle, Will, with the best of intentions.
Well, I had a colleague in my day job who asked me how would I feel either if they won or if they lost, and I knew I wasn't a football fan, and I just said to him, I won't feel anything either way. But I said to him, I do appreciate how you feel, though, much like Chris there, that I have things that I'm passionate about, and I am affected emotionally by them. When the Doctor Who was cancelled in '89 and the dawning realization in 1990, I was absolutely gutted that it had gone. So I do appreciate the feelings.
I completely agree. When it comes to devotion to our interests, I think that, we've actually got quite a lot more in common with the sports fans than they'd ever want to believe. But that's probably a subject for another time. I think we've been over that several times, haven't we? But there's been lots of other things trending across social media that are pure Doctor Who. Some of them are sport related. Now, last week we talked a little bit about Wimbledon. So Wimbledon is the oldest tennis tournament in the world. It finished over the weekend. Very, very prestigious. But it's almost as famous for what goes on off the court as it is on. So people talk about what people are eating, Matt, the strawberries and cream thing, or the things that they're wearing. You get a lot of actors and general sort of posh people who want to be in the spotlight, who will dress up. It's a bit like Royal Ascot like that. So last week we were all stunned to see Ncuti Gatwa, the current Doctor, dressed like a pretty sensible member of the public. So we're all reeling from that. But over this weekend just gone, he was, he was followed up by Varada Sethu. So she was there. Now, obviously, Varada is about to join the cast of Doctor Who properly, full-time. We saw her as Monday Flynn in Boom earlier on this year, but she's coming back for season 2 in a completely new role. And here she's being photographed. I was going to say on the red carpet, but on the green carpet at Wimbledon, dressed kind of like she's about to go off and play Quidditch in a Harry Potter film, more so, though, I think, Shah. She's missing the broom between her legs, isn't she?
Well, I don't know if that kind of uniform would be allowed at Hogwarts, but
it's definitely allowed here, I tell you.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Oh, she looks lovely though. I wish I looked like that. That'd be great.
Absolutely stunning.
She looks nice.
I must say, Matt, I haven't had it this bad since Jenna Coleman. I think Verada is absolutely gorgeous. Can't wait for her to join the show. But out having fun at Wimbledon too, kind of representing the show before she's part of it. At least this is sensible attire, isn't it? These are sensible shoes there for walking on for walking on the grass. But when you see people, when you see our actors, Matt, turn up for events like this, do you roll your eyes, or do you think it's nice that they're seen where the big movie stars are?
Well, I think
Ryan Reynolds sat behind that kind of thing.
I think. Well, the best thing is with sporting events and mainly things like Wimbledon and when they have the cricket and all that, they've got to be dressed with proper attire. They can't just show up willy nilly in a nice big, in like whatever looks like space age costume or something. In
a shell suit. They can't come with the dressing gown and a pair of Crocs, can they, Matt?
So because they will get thrown out. It doesn't matter who they are, So, I think, if Sam Smith came in with his knickers on and that was it, he'd be out the door. So, it's, it is. It's cool sometimes. I've been at tennis and that where there's been an actor or two that's in the crowd, So, yeah, it's kind of cool. You're in that atmosphere with the same with them, It's great.
I mean, I don't follow tennis either, Will, but I think I'd like to go, even if it's just on the off chance that Cliff might start singing.
I don't know what to say to that. I don't know what to say to that. People being famous doesn't interest me at all. So going to an event where famous people might show up, it doesn't push my buttons at all. What can I say?
But it's that international kind of jet setters. They're the ones that you see at these events. So it's politicians, it's actors, it's rock stars. And here's Verada Sethu, who is far from a household name. It's not even on the show yet, and they're with friends having fun, and it's all photo opportunities. I'm never sure how many of these actors or actresses actually go there for the tennis. It's probably more a place to be seen. But if it's part of the marketing machine, if it's part of the marketing machine, they're having fun, like she clearly is here, then I think it's pretty good. So we're not quite sure when Verada's going to join the show. We suspect it could be in the first episode of the next season rather than the Christmas special. So we shall see. We shall see. But we've seen pictures of her out there filming with Shooter Gatwa, of course, in some sort of period dress, running around a seaside town. I think this was way back in January. So there's so much more to come before that. For now, it's still all about Shooty and Millie, and we've got some catching up to do with them as well. Right after we check in with everybody in the live chat, watching and listening along to this on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and on X. We've got several comments to get to, so let's have a blast of that.
The only way you can help save the universe is by watching Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast.
Cheers, Cooper. Top man. And thank you, everybody who's there waiting patiently in the live chat for us to begin here. Like Lord Thoth, hail everyone, so says he. Peter Harrington's in with a good evening all as well. It's great to see you, Peter. David Mullen. Oh, David's come for confessional again. I'm finding it more and more challenging to be a Doctor Who fan these days. Well, put up your feet, my friend, and pour yourself something warm and frothy and spicy and chill out with us for a little while, just like Rob's going to, aren't you, Rob? A happy Monday, or good to be here again and looking forward to another fine show. Good luck, panel. Good luck, Will.
Yeah, we don't need it, do we? But we'll have it anyway.
We shall.
We'll
David Mullen asks, Shaw, do you know when Character Options announce their autumn release schedule? Now, they put the action figures out, don't they? Do you follow all that?
Not really, but then when it does come out, I get really excited and then look at my bank account and then get sad. So it's it's one of those sort of things. But no, I'm not really that into it. But I'll buy it if I think it's cool enough. I'll buy it for sure.
It's a similar
like Will's top. I kind of need a t-shirt like that.
I go on a similar voyage of discovery, Shaw. I get very, very excited when I see what they're actually going to release, and then I see it's like 2 Daleks or it's 2 background characters from Image of the Fendel, and they want £80 for them. And I think, can I live without it? Perhaps. perhaps. I fall for it. I fall for it every time, Matt. Nice painted bits of plastic. I'm a sucker for it. And I know you are too, aren't you?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yes, I just bought the Enterprise D in
Really?
yeah, and so I know I don't need it, and I know I'm not going to go playing with the buttons and everything all the time, but it'd be just nice to sit there and on a shelf and just you can look at it and watch it as it gathers dust.
Oh, it's funny you should mention the Enterprise. We'll be coming to some Star Trek talk in a little while. Hi, Fly Highland. Hi, Gary Akers. Hi, evening. Get well soon to John Yordan there. He's in the live chat as well, as is Nicholas Horton. Oh, hi, everyone. How was your weekend? It was pretty good, I think, generally speaking. Footballless mostly, but pretty good. Michael Q's in as well. And so are you, Shah. You're in there and you're on here too.
Hello,
so we may not, we can't see you, but we can see you everywhere. So it's almost as good. It's almost like you're here twice.
You lucky things, you.
People comparing notes over the weekend's various news stories and comparing experiences there over the England match. Lots of people, obviously, who couldn't give a monkeys, and you'll always find a home here at Type 40 Live. Of course you will. I was there. I piloted the TARDIS. Anna, Fly Highland must be talking about the Doctor Who experience. You got to pilot it, Fly Highland. Were you a child at the time? Is that why? Because they wouldn't let me anywhere near this bloody thing. I'm so jealous. I mean, the fact that I had to fight my own children to get anywhere near it, Matt. It was really quite sad.
It's the only thing to do.
I'll double your pocket money if you say it was you. That kind of thing. But tell us more, Fly Highland. Did you get away with it? And Fly Highland was also at the original London one. Oh, that looked fantastic, didn't it? That looked really, really great. Ben Davis is in as well. And, it's smurfing obvious, Dan, says Lord Thoth. Any idea, Matt, what would you prefer if you were given the option to go to a fancy dress party as either a smurf or an avatar? Which one would you go for?
Gargamel. I'd probably go as Grandpa Smurf the way things are going. So I'm getting that old. So, yeah.
Lots of people saying similar things in the live chat and comparing their answers. Neville says there is no future in England's dream. But that's bleak, isn't it, Will? Wasn't No Future the title of a Doctor Who book from back in the day?
I think it was, yeah. I could sort of see it in one of the Virgin New Adventures. Don't know who wrote it or what it was about. Definitely a title.
Hi, Shah, says Stephen Braddock.
Hello, Stephen.
Evening, everybody, says Adrian James. Oh, we've all got individual highs from Stephen. Oh, thank you, Stephen. How kind.
That's nice.
Well, Steve.
How kind. He says, just got in from work. Wasn't going to miss this. This is the perfect start to the week. Oh, well. We agree. Of course, we agree. Adam's in as well. Adam Charlton says, I'm really looking forward to listening to Dark Contract. Will Hadcroft's 1st of August can't come quick enough. And he's got his headphones ready, look, Will, you see?
Absolutely. We'll compare notes on it when we've heard it.
And continue comparing notes about the various sensations for the senses at the Doctor Who exhibitions over the years. Stephen Noonan is fighting his corner there in the live chat and says, Professor Horton claims there were no carpets in the Blackpool exhibition. I've located a photograph showing the carpeted stairs leading down from the entrance, just as they say. Saying, I think we have to go for round 2 of that debate, Matt. There's only one way to settle it, isn't there?
Professor Horton.
Fisticuffs.
Oh dear. Yes, well, maybe for Children in Need night, we'll might get a few tickets back. Good grief, says Ian Scales. Good grief. He actually looks civilized. He's talking about Ncuti Gatwa there. Komodo is talking about Ncuti Gatwa. Smash says, Smash what? Smash who? You're not smashing me. You stay where you are. Game, set, and match says, it's tennis jargon. You see, that's why I'm not getting it. You see, that's why I'm not getting it. And people comparing notes about Wimbledon experiences. Wimbledon final tickets were a minimum $10,000 this year, says Lord Thoth. That's and I thought character options figures were a lot, sure.
Oh, well, it's close. That's insane. 10,000. Blimey.
Madness.
I had a great summer when I'm not even a tennis fan. I was in London, and just by London Bridge, they've got like it's weird, but it's in the ground. It's like a seating area. It's got a huge screen, and I was just watching Wimbledon with the Pims and the like, and had a great time. And I paid nothing. Well, the Pims was about 10,000, but other than that, it was it was a great experience. So do that.
You didn't check your change. Fly Highland does advise us that character options are due to announce figures in September, October time. I suppose that's the run up to Christmas, isn't it? A Christmas present season, Matt.
Yeah, I can't see anything worth, unless it's set in the old style of the original classic series. I wouldn't bother with any of the new stuff. So hopefully they've got some more stuff for the classic.
I don't think I would now either. I think there's something. It's nothing against the new series, Will. I love new Doctor Who just as much as classic Doctor Who. But there's something about those characters. I think because I've lived with them for so much longer, that even the silly ones, you know, I would buy a Bandrel. I sincerely would.
I'd buy a Candyman.
I would. Anytime. Flower pots, says Neville. There you go. Can't argue with that, can you?
Is that a go at me?
I have no idea. I just nod. I just nod and say, "Yep, you can." If you're on the other side of a couple of pints, you keep on going and stay with us here on the show. Sfila Betkin's in the live chat. Of course, he is very learned in the ways of the new adventures, and he confirms, Will, that No Future, written by Cole Pornell, featured the Seventh Doctor, Ace, and Benny. And the return of the shivery blokes from the Invasion of Time, the ones that were the tinfoil creatures.
Yeah, the tinfoil people, yeah.
Very good, yes, that's a good one.
They were more impressive than the actual actors once they were revealed.
Oh, isn't it marvellous? Talking about marvellous, the ever marvellous problem being, our mate Lee is in the live chat as well. Can's in too. Issuing the greets. Sorry, Shah, I interrupted your hello.
Oh, that's all right. Don't you worry.
And there's lots more exchanges, polite exchanges and comparisons about weekends going on in the live chat. If you want to join in, you know what to do. Get over here onto YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, or X. Get stuck in and share your thoughts, your memories, and your takes, your hot takes or pet peeves on the little things we're going to bring before your eyes on this edition of the show. There's a hell of a lot to get stuck into, lots to get updated on, and maybe a shock. Maybe a shock or two. I don't know.
Hi guys, and welcome to Type 40.
Thank you, as you were. So the other day, Matt, we speculated, didn't we, about Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con International 2024, and the fact that it didn't look like Doctor Who was going to really have any presence there to speak of at all. Really, it seemed like they'd got the equivalent of a small coffee table at a car boot sale when we looked at the floor plan the other day. But within 24 hours of us doing the last live stream, it was revealed that Ncuti Gatwa, Millie Gibson, and Russell T Davies will be on a Doctor Who panel at San Diego Comic-Con this month. They're on for a full hour. It's going to be moderated by somebody called Josh Horowitz, who is the host of the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast and also appears on MTV. So I think I have seen the name, come to think of it. And it's going to be on July the 26th there in Hall H. That's the huge hall, isn't it? At the San Diego Convention Center in California. So I'll come to you first. You've been to Comic-Con, as we've established before. Were you surprised to see this panel revealed, announced? And what do you think about them being in Hall H?
Well, they're sharing it, aren't they?
Oh, are they?
That's all I'll say. Well, they're sharing it with the Star Trek guys, aren't they?
No, that's another panel. That's a different. We're going to come to that in a little while.
Okay.
There's two panels.
There's two panels. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is the first one. They get this space all to themselves.
Yeah, good luck filling it. That's all I'll say. Because I don't. I've been to Hall H, and I tell you what, it is massive. It is massive. And it's actually one of the biggest, if not the biggest, at the actual convention. So, all I'll say is good luck filling it. I honestly don't see it. I will be interested to see how well it fills out, because I can't see. I just can't see the fans going to that. There's a lot more interesting things, and I think I don't know. I
Will it
honestly,
depend?
This is really what I'm. This is really. I am interested to see how many people show up to this.
Well, Matt,
Really
I
am.
was wondering
And
because you.
also what questions are going to be asked. So
I was
yeah.
wondering though, because you've been there. In all honesty, is this hall so big that if people are seated down, if they've got their seat and they're there for the entire morning or the entire afternoon, is it a
Can't
case
do
of? Oh, you can't. So people
You
book for
can't actually. Yeah.
If it
You
takes you
can't
10,
actually
15 minutes, if it takes you 10 or 15 minutes to walk back to the toilets, for example, then I thought, well, are people going to stay there and maybe watch the Who panel and then watch something else? But it doesn't work like that.
Can't do that, Dan. No, you've got to. Well, I was there in 2008, and when I was there, you weren't allowed to go in, sit down and watch the previous panel to stay for the next panel, so you've got a good seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They actually clear out the entire room and then refill it with the next lot that are actually the lines are even worse, like outside waiting to get in.
Really?
So yeah, very much so. I think I went to see the spaced panel, which was Simon Pegg and
Really?
and yeah, that they were just releasing that on DVD, and it was a promotional thing. So Edgar Wright, is it Edgar Wright?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was there, and the lady from Human Nature, she was there, and because she was in space as well. And yeah, I went and saw that, and so I sort of got a front view of. I actually did get a really good seat. So but that was because I was waiting in line, and like I said, they clear the entire area. There's no one allowed to be in there waiting to get a good seat at all.
For years, Matt, I wanted to go to Comic-Con. I'm very envious of you that you've had that experience. But Will, what I found is that for years I wanted to go, and I'd look at the pictures and see how excited people would get, and see Doctor Who people making quite a splash there for a few years. And then I realised that this hall was so big. It looks like a football pitch. I may as well watch them from here on my PC, and then I can actually see them, you know?
Yeah. I've never been to anything like this, this kind of size and scope. And it looks very ambitious to put a Doctor Who panel in front.
It's not good for people with panic attacks. That's all I'll say, and really bad anxiety.
I can bet it's not, and not just because of the current series either. I think a Doctor Who panel, unless we're talking like the days of David Tennant and Matt Smith, it would struggle to fill that place, even maybe during Peter Capaldi's time. So yeah, I'm used to cozy events like Hooverville. I've never been to anything as big as that.
I prefer
I can imagine people with social phobia would really struggle with that.
Yeah, I did.
Good luck meeting the stars in that sort of environment. Whereas with the smaller ones, of course, you can go up and have a chat with them, or they'll walk past you and bump into you and say, "Oh, sorry," Whereas here, it's all security and you can't get up to the podium, and they check your questions and all that sort of thing. Whereas with these, the smaller ones, you can ask pretty much whatever you like. I mean, you've got to be polite, but yeah.
Well, we know that when Shooty goes up to the stage, they won't have to waste too much time, security checking him for any concealed items or anything that he shouldn't, because he'll probably be wearing a thong and a boob tube or something like that. But when you see these events and these things announced, do you think, oh wow, I'd love to be there, all those people, the buzz, or does it all look like a lot of hard work and a lot of billing and cooing for something that we can all watch on YouTube anyway?
It's a bit of a mixture between the two, to be fair. Are you sure you can hear me all right? I feel like I'm not very...
Yeah, I can hear you fine, yeah.
Yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, a mixture of the two, because I'd want to be there with everyone, having a great time and wanting to, experience that with everyone else. But at the same time, it is my idea of absolute chaos. And I always say I'm a lover of chaos, but not like that. So it'd be like
you bring the chaos.
How dare you? I genuinely think that it would be like queuing for a ride at Alton Towers during the school holidays. It'd be horrendous. And Matt's correct. Forget meeting anyone, or maybe it was Will. Sorry, forget meeting anyone. You never would. And I much prefer that. Like, now I've been to Hooverville, I much prefer that, and I would go to anything like that over a huge panel like that. That being said, I definitely want to go to Gallifrey one day. At least once.
I'd like that as well. I mean, I'm itching to see or to hear what the three panellists are going to say, Ncuti, Millie and Russell together, because obviously we've heard very little from them, Will, and it was before the series was broadcast. So I'll be interested to see what the feeling is, what the chemistry's like between them, and how upbeat or not they may be, because Russell has admitted publicly, in very modest terms, that they're not quite happy where the series is for now. But I want to see the reaction from the audience as well, particularly in a foreign country like that. Apparently, they're going to be sharing behind-the-scenes stories. There'll be a few fan surprises too, and there are rumours that they're going to premiere a sneak peek at the Christmas special and perhaps announce the long-rumoured spin-off as well. So, in an hour, they could potentially do all of those things in an hour, couldn't they? Anything could happen.
Anything, yeah. The great thing about an event like that is that no matter how much you prepare what you think you might be saying, you can't prepare, even when questions are vetted, if they are vetted.
They are.
They are. You can never be sure of how something like that is going to go. They may rehearse all they like what they're going to say in answer to particular questions, but it is something that is open to the public. It is live, and how they present themselves has to be a bit more honest, perhaps, than they would in a filmed interview, for example, where they don't have the time to think. You know what I mean? They have to answer off the top of their head, even with vetted questions. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, and it's not as controlled an environment as a recorded interview is. There's no editing, it's just there in front of the audience. So it'd be very interesting to see how they come across to the audience and with one another.
It could go the other way as well. It could go the other way as well, because even though they do vet questions, some people when they hit the microphone actually do turn around and say the complete opposite of what they were going to say. I've seen that happen, and pretty much excuse my French, the shit hits the fan, and the panelists freak out, and I've seen that, and then they get very protective and on the offensive, and actually it goes to a complete and utter shit show. So I mean,
that's not going to be nice. That's not going to be nice for anybody. Everybody's going to lose out of that equation, I suppose, aren't they? You want people to ask honest questions, because, particularly as they're consumers of something. But I suppose it's a fine line that they've got to walk. I mean, I do wonder how they may feel. Particularly the ones who've done a lot of stage work. Maybe it's nothing to them to walk out onto that stage and just see all those people. But I think it probably is, Shah. I think when you see how far that room stretches back, I think that's a really big space. Whatever stage you've been on and how many lights you've been in front of, I don't know. I think I'd probably be like, whoa, like a rabbit in the headlights. I don't know. Stephen Braddock said, I used to love the smaller conventions in the past. You could really get to talk to the stars for a while, one-to-one, and walk away with a nice signed autograph. But it's so extortionate these days. I think it depends on the conventions that you go to. Just as Will was saying there are lots of independent, smaller, intimate events up and down the country, run by various people, run by the Hoovers and our friend Ian at Cygnus Alpha Events, just to name two. There are others as well, though. If you know where to look, they just don't get as marketed as the Showmasters kind of things do. I think that's probably pretty fair.
I think as well, Dan, what you were saying about them going out in front of the audience. They're used to performing a play in front of an audience, but they might not be used to being scrutinized by one.
When they know what they've got to say and when they've got to say it, yeah. I wouldn't like to do it. No, I definitely wouldn't. Stephen says he's got golden memories of meeting Patrick Trout and John Pertwee and Tom Baker. Very, very jealous. Neville is suggesting someone will be bottling Gatwa's tears and selling them. Well, there'll be plenty of them. The man does quite a bit of crying, certainly on set. I don't know if he probably does in private as well. But you're quite right, Matt. There is something else going on, as well as the TARDIS materialising there in Hall H. Somebody or somebodies are beaming in too. So on the social media accounts, the official social media accounts a few days ago, they put this out. And they still do this with the emojis after a couple of years. I think, well, personally, I'm a little bit tired of this now, trying to decode these things. I don't care anymore. Perhaps some people still find this fun. Good luck to them, but it's fine. But yeah, this is obviously the icon, the emoji of the live long and prosper from Star Trek with the two hearts, Doctor Who plus Star Trek. And yeah, it does turn out that this teases a particular event also at San Diego Comic-Con that involves both of the franchises. So this is what they're calling a pop-up panel. Be careful how you say that. A pop-up panel. Where it's going to pop up, I'm not entirely sure. I think that means that they'll just, if they've got a spare room, they'll whack it all in there. I don't know. But yeah, this is where both franchises, two of the big three, are going to collide at San Diego Comic-Con. And specifically in the form of these two fellas. So there's Russell T Davies, obviously the showrunner of Doctor Who, and Alex Kurtzman, who is the current sort of custodian, executive producer of all things Star Trek, certainly on the television. They're going to be together on this panel, and it's billed as celebrating International Friendship Day, which they're badging as Intergalactic Friendship Day. Oh my God. Whatever. That's what, I don't know what, is there such a thing as International Friendship Day, Shah? Never heard of that one. I mean, I was surprised to see this. I mean, does this, Shah, you've never really seen Star Trek, have you? So is this, you just have no idea, why would anybody go to this?
No, well, I know it's definitely. I've not even given it a chance, though. To be fair, I really, really should one of these days when I've got a year free or maybe longer.
Sure.
But so yeah, I'm just. It's one of those things where I guess people who don't understand Doctor Who don't get it when I go on about it all the live long day. But if I understand that it's got a huge following, so yeah, very happy for them. Don't understand, but yeah, all good for me. But National Friendship Day.
Shah, I recommend the podcast I Don't Do Sci-Fi and their coverage of Star Trek.
Okay, thank you.
The premise is that one of the members of the podcast is not interested in science fiction whatsoever, and they get her to watch different shows and then see what she thinks. And I was on the Star Trek one with them, and it was very interesting, her reactions to it, the original series.
Oh,
so
what a great idea.
I
will.
They're good people on that show. I mean, the thing about this is that Russell T Davies, people know I'm a fan of Russell T Davies historically. The shine has come off him a little. I think he's clearly struggling in his showrunner's role at the moment in steering this ship. But if there's any upside to what's going on Doctor Who at the moment, it's the fact that as unpopular as Russell T Davies is right now, he's nowhere near as unpopular as Alex Kurtzman is with the Star Trek fans. This man is seriously, seriously disliked. I'm not sure if Russell's aware of that. I mean, I suppose why would he be? But he's been steering Star Trek for a little while, and several shows have. Well, I would say they've sank without a trace, Matt. They've somehow kept going as the brand has sort of rejuvenated all under this Star Trek universe banner. But very few people seem to watch them. Next to nobody seems to talk about them. And they're far removed, aren't they, from the glory days of Star Trek, the Star Trek that we grew up with in the past, that still gets repeated on television all over the world. So the idea that these two guys are going to form some sort of brains trust, it's not very convincing, is it?
You have to remember, too, because with the classic series of Star Trek, even for the first 40, 50 years or whatever, and same with Doctor Who, they had a Bible. They actually kept to it. They'd so we can't do this because it'd cross over with this and it doesn't work. It won't work.
Yeah,
it'll ruin whatever happened in the past and that. And pretty much both of them, Kurtzman and Davies, belong in the we'll just throw the whole thing out and do our own thing because we're the best. And unfortunately, it's gone to absolute poo-poo land.
They do seem like birds of a feather, don't they? They sing very much from the same hymn sheet. Davies quite recently has voiced a lot of support and appreciation for various creative calls made across all those current Star Trek shows, most of which are falling very flat with the Star Trek fan base, including Stephen Braddock, who says the egos have landed. Problem being, it's a very colourful statement here. Two murderers of two great franchises. Looks more like a wanted poster. But a lot of people feel the same way Lee does, don't they?
The thing is with Kurtzman and Davies is that unfortunately Davies has become this. He wasn't like this originally.
No.
But Kurtzman has always had this issue with not being able to have a story and then not follow through with it, or it doesn't make any sense, or that sort of thing, and he doesn't care. And it's the same with Davies now. And you know, this is unfortunately, if this is writing today, it's very, very scary, you know, because that means that we're just not going to be entertained. We're going to be, you know, we like to have a little bit of thinking when we watch a TV show and go, ooh, can't wait for this reveal, and then there's no reveal. You know, Kurtzman was in charge of a show, if you remember, called Lost, and
he was on Lost.
A lot of things didn't get tied up at the end, and he just did not care. And it was
that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially when I binge watched all 6 seasons to get into the last season, and then it was like, oh my god, that's how they're going to end it, you know. So it was all fresh in my mind.
You could tell it was just being made up as it was going along. Even though it drew me in, a lot of it drew me in, but that last episode, they clearly had painted themselves into a corner and had no idea how to end it, really. There was no plan. You could see there was no plan. They weren't heading in a direction to an end point.
Kurtzman sort of stepped in, didn't he, when J.J. Abrams took his leave of the show. But the only way I can see this panel as being less popular, the comments in the live chat here are pretty colourful, but that does seem to reflect a lot of the opinions I've seen across social media as well. I think the only way this could have been worse is if they'd have whacked in Kathleen Kennedy, who steers the Star Wars line at the same time. Bintube here in the live chat says, well, the last Jedi is pretty disliked, and yet Russell chose to steal from that for some reason. Yeah. But yeah, so it could be worse. Kathleen Kennedy could be there. As it stands, we're going to get this Doctor Who and Star Trek panel for intergalactic Friendship Day there. So this is taking place at San Diego Comic-Con on Saturday, the 27th of July at 5:30 till 6:30. So they get a full hour. They get a full hour as well. I mean, have Doctor Who and Star Trek got much in common? They were both started in the 60s. They've both got this huge fan bases, Shah. I think largely they've always conveyed a very positive message. They tend to appeal to cross generations of people, if for slightly different reasons. I'm fascinated with the idea of bringing them together, or representatives of both brands together publicly in this way. I'm just not sure, and this is no slight on the gentleman involved even. I'm not sure that these two guys are the best to turn this into a proper event. I think they'd have probably been better off with a couple of actors, you know, getting for example, Patrick Stewart on with David Tennant or something like that. I mean, they do know one another.
Yes.
Has anything?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Sorry,
not that I'm aware of. Will.
Oh, you're right. You're all right. I wasn't going to say anything. Don't worry about it.
It's an unusual thing to do, isn't it? To put two showrunners together and nobody else from two very different shows. As an experiment, it might be interesting to see what they've got to say.
Also, you've got to realize that means it's going to be two fan bases. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're going to be level with each other. It's going to be, you know, the same amount of fans on each side, or whether or not it's going to be Star Trek heavy. Yeah. And it's going to be in the back, you know, going, you know.
Is it just going to be a kind of mutual appreciation thing going on for a whole hour, you know? Slapping one another on the back with compliments for a full hour. I don't know.
I'd say it'll be something very much very much along those lines. It's kind of what you've come to expect, isn't it? It is too late to plan your visit. I think if you haven't planned it by now, you're probably not going. But San Diego Comic Con takes place on from July the 25th all the way to the 28th there at San Diego Convention Center. There will be coverage all over social media and various YouTube channels, I've no doubt, that will cover everything, and people will have their representatives on the convention floor. Lots to see and lots to hear, I've no doubt, including those Doctor Who panels. I can't wait, Shah.
Well, I would love to watch it on YouTube, but I certainly wouldn't pay just because it would be a bit too much for me, to be honest. But hey, maybe it means I'll turn into a Star Trek fan if I watch something like this. Who knows? Who knows? You might see me, retire
a single person
from this and do Star Trek instead.
For a single person, it's very, very expensive. You really need to share the cost with someone. That's including hotel rooms and that, which is what I had to do. I just shared the room with a fellow artist, and we had things in common and that sort of thing. So and plus also you got to like have everything booked a year in advance, because hotels they live off Comic-Con, so they book out very, very fast, and you got to try and get a good price while you can, So, but to go on your own, it's very expensive. You really need to share the costs. So, unless you live there, of course, in America,
Matt, I can't believe how just the mention of the TV series Lost, which finished 10 years ago.
Oh, more than that. More than that.
What, a long time ago. Finished a long time ago. Just the mention of that show gets people going off on one in the live chat. People really...
Polar bears.
All the things that you described, Will and Matt, there. People are still feeling quite raw about this, about having invested 6 years of their lives in watching that show and have it come to next to nothing. Never mind. You can let it all out.
I would love to write the... sorry, Matt.
No, you're right. You go, Will.
I was going to say I would love to write another ending. The great thing about the Lost concept is that ending need not be the ending, because it's playing around with reality all the time. You could write another ending where they wake up and find out that the events of the last episode didn't really happen, or they happened but it wasn't what they thought, or it was a trick. You could actually tidy that up and bring it to a proper end. Even now, I'd love to have a crack at that.
Fabulous.
To be fair, I mean, you have like Lost was a lost cause, but there's shows like Fringe, which Kurtzman was involved in, and
I love Fringe.
Abrams and that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that actually made a lot of it tied together eventually, sort of thing. I think there were a couple of little loose ends, but not as much. So, they are capable of making some good stuff. I suppose also that writers and that are involved, if they're not just the same writer, then, there could be, and there's someone there to actually, combine all the writers or have a good storyline in it. You can have a great series like Fringe. But, other than that, I will be, I'm really interested in seeing how it all plays out, and I am hoping that someone actually it doesn't go smoothly for them. I'm really hoping it does not go smoothly for them. I'm really hoping that something is said that will just turn them offside, because you got to remember they're talking to the fans now. Hopefully, they're talking to they're not just talking to people who are just saying, oh,
yes, men and women.
Yes. Well, I wasn't going to say that, but yes, it's they won't be having curated questions made up and going, oh, we loved this, oh, we loved that.
If these guys are still, as they claim, just like all of us, then they won't have a problem with it. I don't want to see anybody necessarily suffering through an hour's worth of contact with their fan base, but I think a few questions that are challenging and maybe a little more forthright and a bit more plain English wouldn't do either gentleman any harm. We'll have our ears and eyes open for all the Comic-Con coverage over the 4-day period there from over that weekend, and not just with Doctor Who and Star Trek, but everything else as well, because it is a very good barometer, I think, of where the temperature is at the moment regarding all pop culture, which Doctor Who is obviously a very big part of still. Well, it's still one of the big three. It did look like it was going to be the big four for a while, but I think Marvel has kind of fallen. It's still the big three: Star Trek, Star Wars, and Doctor Who. And I think we all want to see them go on to bigger and better things, and to thrive again. Shuta Gatwa is still Doctor Who, and he'll be there at San Diego Comic-Con, and Doctor Who itself will return. We are guaranteed it's going to return, but they filmed a lot of it, so we know they're going to have to air it at some point. And just this week, there have been further rumours have slipped the net, apparently from Disney themselves. New rumours about what's coming next year in 2025. I wondered if any of you had seen this. So apparently, these have all been squirreled away from some hard drive at Disney. So this is what's crept out and made its way to Reddit and Gallifrey Base, of all places. I wonder if you've seen all of this official Disney stuff, apparently all concerning season 2, which is going to air in 2025. So in these leaks, they confide that Doctor Who itself is considered by Disney Plus, a low-budget series. That's fine. It was a low-budget series before. In relation to what would be my sort of answer to that, I think. It also says that the 2024 Christmas special will drop on Christmas Day 2024. I think we could probably have guessed that as well, Shah. But we've got 2 dates here. It claims that season 2 will premiere on the 28th of March 2025, and that season 2's finale will thus drop on the 16th of May 2025. And if you remember, I mean, it was well into May before season 1 actually premiered, wasn't it? And it caused all manner of problems here in Britain, because we actually had nice weather for a few weeks, not for the least of all. And they didn't really commit to promoting it very well. Certainly in Britain, I don't know how well it did. How well it did in the States. So these are the rumours so far. I mean, are you surprised? First of all, Will, they termed Doctor Who a low budget series. Some people are scoffing about that. I don't really care how they consider it, really. The money's the money. The budget is the budget. It's got more money than it had before. We don't need Doctor Who to be big budget, do we? In fact, we complain. A lot of us have been complaining about the size of the new TARDIS, for example. Yeah, money isn't everything, is it?
Well, those of us who've grown up with it, with the original series, that was the sort of bugbear right the way through, wasn't it? That people used to laugh at it being made on the cheap. By comparison to that, it doesn't look cheap now, but it might look cheap to when compared with American productions. I remember when the 2005 series aired, there was a journalist I think she was called Bonnie Greer, on Newsnight, I think it was. And she was highly critical. There were 2 gentlemen presenting, it's back and it's better than ever. And she was saying it looks so cheap. There's nobody in the streets. The toys don't work. The effects don't work. And she was really ruthless in her criticism of it. So maybe when comparing with American productions, it does look cheap even now. But for us who've grown up with the old series in Britain, it's never looked so lavish in some regards.
Money isn't everything. You like Doctor Who fairly small scale as well, don't you, Matt? You like it to be not exactly a cheap show or to look cheap, but to be quite intimate. I think that is part of the appeal of Doctor Who.
I mean, I will go out and watch the original special effects over the new special effects anytime. But just because I think also it's got a bit to do with nostalgia as well. But I mean, I think I'm looking at it from Disney's perspective, because when they're spending 250 million, that's $250 million on something like Star Wars, on a Star Wars series. That to them is high, whereas I think this has probably cost them about probably about 50 million to produce. I'm not saying how much they paid for it, but I'm saying it's probably if that, because I think roughly, wouldn't the original 2005 series been about $1 million an episode? Or
it was about £1 million. Yeah, it was around £1 million per episode they spent on that. Yeah.
So, and I mean, when you look at it now, I'm pretty sure that they would be spending way more than that on, and especially since there was only eight episodes, that they would be spending a certain amount per episode on that. So I would say probably it's gone up to around $5-6 million, if not more, per episode. But even then,
it doesn't mean. Sorry.
No, you go.
No, so all I was going to say is, like, it doesn't mean anything, does it, Matt?
No.
Like, if there's no substance, it's almost like, great, spend all this money, but why? What for? Because I'm not enjoying it. I'm not thinking, oh, well, the effects are great, so doesn't that make a great story? No, I'm actually finding myself.
Is it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what was I watching with I pretty much forced my family to watch Capaldi because they never have until this weekend, and we watched World Enough in Time, and they thought it was one of the best things ever, and they couldn't believe they hadn't watched it. But I'm finding myself enjoying classic even more with a shoestring budget, but getting some absolutely sick stories, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm enjoying myself, and just thinking, this is not only what my family and my grandparents and things like that, that's not what they enjoyed, but I'm finding that it's still standing the test of time, and that you don't need a ridiculous off-scale budget if you've got no substance, as I say, to these stories. So I completely agree with you, Matt. It's just a shame that they have to spend money on something that not a lot of people are enjoying.
Obviously, every project, every production has an agreed budget. When they put these things together, amounts that are agreed upon to achieve the end result. If Disney consider it to be low commitment from them, a low financial commitment from them, and it to be a low budget show, I'm absolutely fine with that. Character development is non-existent today, or maybe formats need to change back again. You could be right. I think that the formats could do with changing. As Cybermat Strike says, the crap effects are iconic. It's kind of what you were saying, Char. It's the charm of the series. That how much fun can we have with half a crown and some sellotape and bits of tinfoil?
It is so immersive.
Peter Harrington says it creates creativity with a low budget, and because necessity is the mother of invention, Matt, isn't it?
Sometimes it's good to have you add some of the imagination to the series rather than it all be shown to you. Sometimes to have it left to you is, I think it makes you more intelligent, to be honest.
What do you think about the fact that it looks like we're going to be getting the series starting a lot earlier this time, Shah? Because it was a long wait, wasn't it, between Christmas and the premiere of the season, and certainly the timing of it over here in Britain, as regards things that are seasonal, the things that we do in Britain when the days do get longer. Do you think it could make a difference if this premieres around Easter the way that Doctor Who used to?
It worked at the time. I mean, I honestly, thing is though, Dan, I don't know if I can agree that timing is everything with this, because
no, it's not everything. No.
I know you're not saying
it helps though.
It helps. But there was one series where we had a split series, and that didn't mess everything up. There was once where we had a special series with just David Tennant, because he wasn't available for a full what's what I'm looking for?
A full run.
That's it. Thank you. I was really struggling there. And that still did, yielded really great results as well. So it's kind of like, okay, bring it out, but I will only get excited when you make me excited. Do you see what I mean? The timing's not going to mean
say no more. Yes, of course.
How dare you?
I like the idea. It took a while there.
It did. I knew you were struggling.
So. So the season could start and wrap up considerably earlier. I do believe that generally speaking, Matt, is quite a good move. it could be locking the stable door after the horses bolted now. I think that Christmas could be kind of the last chance saloon for this era of the show myself. But if you look at the calendar here for next year, obviously we don't know that these leaks are genuine, but sure enough, this does track. So yes, Friday the 28th of March. So it is a Friday when they're claiming that the series will premiere, which will mean the same delivery pattern as before. So it'll be midnight on Disney Plus over the entire world, all at the same time, and then the very next day for us in Britain on in the Saturday night slot, and that carries through there right the way through till Friday, the 16th of May, 2025. So yes, I'd say that this probably does hold a lot of water. I was surprised to see it perhaps coming earlier in the year, but you do wonder, is this at the mercy of Disney Plus? Because I have no doubt that they demanded the show premiere this time in May in 2024. Maybe the BBC have dug their heels in here because they would have absolutely have preferred. Well, they wanted it to start in January. I think Russell has talked about that now in Doctor Who magazine. They didn't want the 5-month gap at all. Maybe they've settled on a 2.5-3 month gap. How likely do you think that is? Just to wrap this up.
I hope it's likely.
I think that Russell may have had something to do with it too. Oh, the ratings haven't been that great. It's because we didn't start in March. Because I believe the 2005 series started in March. Am I correct in that?
Good point.
Yeah, they did for 4 or 5 years.
Good
Yeah.
point.
So and they were always good ratings. So that's what I think he has something to do with it. It wouldn't surprise me with him with his little clout at the moment. So, yeah.
Yes, Darren Bradley says, didn't Russell want the season 1 to be broadcast right after Christmas Day, but Disney wanted spring/summer? Yes, Russell has politely admitted that in his column in Doctor Who magazine, I think it was. Rambles says, Ben Casey, that's probably for you, Shah.
Hello, darling.
Divining
That's
Dragon
me.
says, I hear that. And we've got lots of other comments as well about this. Possibly distribution may take up a lot of cash, or is that a con? Well, distribution isn't cheap in movies and TV, is it? Well, it can double the budget of a film, for example, of getting a film out to members of the public. And the more that line between TV and film gets thinner, the more that all the trappings of it are going to cross over as well. I'm quite happy for Doctor Who to be a low-budget show, wherever the money comes from. I just wanted to have the flavour and the character of the series and that central figure that I grew up watching, just to feel like no other show on British television. And then I know I'm watching Doctor Who. And I'd kind of like it to be on earlier in the year, Sean. I'm absolutely fine.
I just to put in a final point on it about just regarding the budget as well. I remember watching Confidential and it being turned left. Sorry, yeah, they only had $100,000 to spend on that show. Hence why the bug looked so shitty in it. Oh, sorry, rubbish, and cheaply made in it. And I thought it was one of the best and most harrowing stories I've seen in a good while. So it just shows that they did that with $100,000. This is the thing; they've got a great creative team. Do something creative, please. It looks beautiful, but that's all it is. It just shows it looks really on everything.
More substance.
There are so many shows and films that are made on the cheap in terms of effects and so forth, and even using unknown actors that no one's heard of, and they become stars, don't they? If the writing is good, and the concept is there. I mean, a show like Blake 7 in the late 1970s was made. It was even cheaper than Doctor Who was. Roger Murray Leach, the designer, talks about the Liberator designing this huge sort of Starship Enterprise type ship. And you can see that corridors just end in a white canvas and don't go anywhere, and that sort of thing. But because the characters are so well drawn and the story is so well told, you're not bothered. You don't care about that. And even more recent shows that are made cheaply compared to the big ones, if the characters are there and the story is there, the audience will be there.
Speaking of which, that connects very nicely to what we've got coming in a couple of minutes as Type 40 Live continues right here across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X, whatever you've got to chew on or to quench your thirst there, whether it's hot or cold. Top yourself up. So if you want more of this, you can get our podcast across all major podcatchers and our home feed at type40.podbean.com. Our latest episode was that review of Space Babies, which people are still asking me about. Yes, Simon and I, we didn't settle it in the car park afterwards, but we did disagree very fervently on the gift that was Space Babies by Russell T Davies. More reviews of the classic series, the new series, and the all-new series coming up on Type 40 at Doctor Who Podcast in the not-too-distant future. So get over to our home feed at type40.podbean.com or find us across all major podcatchers like Spotify and Audible and all those places. Okay, I think this is time for, yes, a bit of a break. To wet your whistle or feed the beast inside there, just for a couple of minutes. Everybody out there in the live chat, you're going to love this. A blast of doctors, several Doctors Who, including someone that we know. So stick around for this ad break, and we'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Did you know that the game of chess exists in some form or other in almost every advanced civilization across the galaxy?
From Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The Lost Stories, Death World.
If you wouldn't mind, I am in the middle of a fascinating experiment.
Trap 1, come in. Can't have reached the base already. No!
Brigadier, I think I understand. I suspect you're in my future. And if I'm right, that means there's another me around.
You are not the Doctor.
Oh, but I think you'll find that I am, sir.
What, so there's three of you?
I can't interfere with my own future, Brigadier. The consequences could be disastrous.
Doctor?
Oh, my word.
Jamie?
Good day, Alistair.
Good grief. You're...
Yes. You are face to face with death. And like that, the final king falls into my hands.
You fool, Doctor. You fool.
Now the real battle begins.
Joe, where are you?
But who's this Joe?
Oh, no, not you.
Would you two stop prattling away at each other, whoever you are?
Oh, no. Not you.
You too?
Yes. Where are we?
I am the end of all life, and you are now entering my domain. Welcome to Death World.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
Hello, yeah, we're still here, shuffling through the time streams there with your early edition of Type 40 Live, Doctor Who, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show. We've got a panel of time agents and various rogues here too, sharing their hot takes and pet peeves, their rants and their raves. Yeah, don't look at me like that. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that blast there from Big Finish. So that's Doctor Who Death World. That's available very, very soon as well, July 2024. They never give you exact dates from Big Finish, but I believe it's got to be out in the next week. We're halfway through July, so it's got to be out in the next week or two. It's adapted by John Dorney from the scripts originally written for the 10th anniversary of Doctor Who there by Bob Baker and Dave Martin. And when we had the late Bob Baker on the show, he did talk about that a little. It stars various people there. So it stars John Colshaw as the Brigadier, Fraser Hines as Jamie, Joe Grant as Katie, with Michael Troughton as the Doctor, Tim Treloar as the Doctor, and Stephen Noonan also as the Doctor, the original, you might say. And you can pick that up on CD and download from $15.99 there. That's £15.99, and then the download itself is just $12.99 as well. And here they are. Here the three Doctors, the new three doctors there that look very defiant, cheekily defiant, don't they, against whatever's coming at them on the death world there from Big Finish. Yes, hello, welcome back to the show. So, that's Shiver Your Timbers. I don't know if Stephen Noonan's still in the live chat, but I hope he enjoyed getting a blast of that there. It's all about the audio this time. Okay, thank you everybody for the comments there across YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X2. Over the Overseers in, Divining Dragons in as well. Ooh, says Lord Thoth. What have you done? You haven't caught yourself in your fly, have you? I hope not. Okay, so earlier on in the show, I ogled Virada Sethu there at Wimbledon this year, Wimbledon 2024, and just I enjoyed that quite a lot.
You'll be the only one, Dan, don't worry.
But yeah, so that's been brilliant. And the previous week, obviously Shooty Gatwa was there. But when it comes to Wimbledon, obviously this prestigious event, the event of the tennis calendar, it's got history with Doctor Who, hasn't it? So it immediately makes me think of 7 years ago, in fact, and that Sunday afternoon during the final, where they trailered the reveal of a new incarnation of the Doctor. This was quite the event for one reason or another. I accept results may vary. Jodie Whittaker was an actress that I'd enjoyed in other programmes. But I was immediately personally deflated by this. I don't approve of it's a gender swap gimmick, which I thought was beneath Doctor Who. And 7 years on, I firmly believe that. At the time, I liked Jodie Whittaker as an actress. I had every reason to believe that she'd make a good fist of the part and give it her best. Ultimately, well, it played out how it played out, didn't it? In the years in between, I don't hold it against Wimbledon. But time does heal, and obviously Doctor Who has now moved on a couple of times in several bursts of flames. Jodie Whittaker herself has gone on to a couple of dramas. Like she was in series 2 of Time, wasn't she, on the BBC? And obviously she's also had another child in the meantime. In the meantime as well, but. It's been, when was it? So 2022 was the last episode of the Whittaker era show, The Power of the Doctor. So it's only been around 18 months since she was last on screen. That was filmed in 2021. I think I couldn't stand any of the episodes that were broadcast during her era. I accept that some people do feel differently, but these were the very worst of times. The very worst of times for me. But where did you sit with this show?
I'm a lot more generous towards the Jodie era than I think a few other people. And I'm not going to say that all of them were horrible. They weren't, in my opinion, anyway. There's a couple that I actually quite enjoyed and went back to watch. Particularly, I would say, the haunting. I can never pronounce it, but the haunting of begins with a D. I can never remember.
Villa Diodati.
That's the one. I really like that one. I like Village of Angels. Sorry, did like that one too, and I didn't mind Spyfall either. But other than that, I wasn't a fan. No. But
basically, anything that Jamie Magnus Stone directed was at least a lot better to look at. If I'm an optimist I am an optimist by nature, and I did try to see something in it because I was committed to watching it. Because of course I'm a Doctor Who fan. I make Doctor Who content, Matt. It sort of comes with the territory. But I was very, very happy to see this era close out for one reason or another. And then the other day we had some news. We had some news that I didn't expect at all, and we had a brand new photo here that came with the announcement that Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill, so the Doctor and her companion Yaz, from 2018 right the way through 2022, wasn't it? So they are to be reunited on audio for Big Finish Productions, beginning in July 2025. It says here in the press release, they'll embark on a series of 12 brand new stories, the 13th Doctor Adventures, and each story will be an hour-long full-cast audio drama. And this was announced at 13 minutes past the 13th hour on the 13th of July in a bit of marketing blitz there. And yes, start believing, said the BBC social media. The Doctor and Yaz are returning for a new series of audio adventures, and there's a couple of hearts there. I can't lie, seeing this picture, I mean, sure, it's no laughing matter. She's smiling at me. Please make it stop.
Can I just apologise, by the way? My dog's barking again. I'm not quite sure what, probably her own reflection or shadow.
It's this picture.
It's that picture. You set her off. Molly, for God's sake. But I've seen a lot of people be excited about this, and that's fine. If you're excited by it, more power to you. I love that for you. But for me, it just does nothing for me. And not only that, Molly, shut up. And then
she's
what makes
okay.
it even worse? She's fine. She just likes to be vocal. And as for the reveal, when Jodie was revealed, you weren't the only one who felt deflated, Dan. I did, purely because I was thinking, well, if you're doing it purely because she's a woman, I'm not on board. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That was my sort of thoughts towards it. And then I found myself, after Jodie, wanting another woman to prove that a woman could do it. So it's quite weird. It's a bit of an oxymoron with me.
No, I can understand why.
Yeah, because I didn't want people to think that it was because the Doctor was a woman that it didn't work. But I prefer a male Doctor anyway, purely just because it didn't work with Jodie. So they went back to having a man. And I just think that probably speaks volumes. But I would love to see another woman in the role. I think that there's women over there that could do it. Jo Martin, I know, wasn't massively popular in people that watched this, and that's absolutely fine. But for me, when she manages to steamroll Jodie in one or two scenes, it shows that it can be done. That Jodie just wasn't it, unfortunately.
Yes, this hit social media, and it's fair to say that I'd say most people weren't excited, but there was a contingent of people who were, and they were very vocal about that. And I get it. The adventures are going to start in July next year, and as with everything on Big Finish, you can go over onto their website, and you can pre-order these now. So on collector's edition CDs and downloads, or you can get the download option only too. And there are complete series multi-buy bundles coming later as well. This is quite a big commitment here from Big Finish to produce. I think it's 24 stories over a 2 or 3 year period there, one out every couple of months for the full hour. I mean, to me, at first when I saw this announced, I'm a big Finish fan. I used to buy everything, Will. I don't anymore. When I initially saw this announced, I thought, what are they thinking? These characters, this era, it's so massively unpopular. It seems like abject lunacy, particularly at a time where people have got less disposable income than ever. It is kind of where I was with it, Will. But you've got a slightly different opinion, haven't you? What's your take on this?
Well, where do you want me to start, first of all? Do you want me to talk about the reveal when she was first cast?
As much as you want to, really.
I was out when that was happening, and when I got in, I knew it was going to be revealed in that Wimbledon thing. And my wife just looked at me, and when I got in, she said, "Wait till you find out who it is." Because I was thinking it was going to be Chris from Death.
Chris Marshall.
Yeah.
Chris Marshall. I wanted it to be Chris.
There was a lot of speculation about him doing it, and I could see him doing it. So when the hood went back, I just thought, no. And this wasn't because of any negativity to. I think if they had cast someone who was, I know they couldn't get Tilda Swinton, but someone of that ilk, someone who's got real charisma and screen presence, and you can't take your eyes off every scene she's in. She's just magnetic. If it was an actress like that, or someone like Charlotte Rampling, if you want to go older, a Peter Capaldi type, but as a woman, I think I would have been won over quickly. With Jodie, I'd seen her. Certainly after she'd been announced, I watched a drama called Trust Me, where she played a surgeon who'd performed an operation that she wasn't qualified for, and then had to crack on she was qualified. And that drama was very good, and she was good in it. And that's I feel that's where her strength is as an actress, that she can play She can play very serious drama very well. But when she debuted as the Doctor and she's trying to, it was written like a kind of Matt Smith, David Tennant kind of character, full of
yeah.
whim.
It didn't help the actress at all, did it? In fact, come to think of it, it didn't help most of them. But yeah, particularly
was
her.
written with a lot of whimsy and childlike wonder, and she did the best she could. I really believe when she left it, she said, "I hope the fans recognise I worked very hard on this and gave it all I got." And I thought, when I read the statements, I thought, I believe you, Jodie. I believe you did give it all.
I do.
But what you've got isn't it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think if it had been written as a very serious character. I rewatched some of it recently. I watched Demons of the Punjab. I thought that was really good. I watched Kablam, and I liked it more than I did the first time around.
Even I like Kablam. There we go. That's the one.
What's the one with the frog, one with the frog on the chair at the end? Is it called It Takes You Away?
Yeah.
I loved everything about that.
I didn't mind that either. Second time round, I watched Spyfall. Is it? Spyfall.
Yeah.
A lot of that I enjoyed, and there were scenes where, and this goes back to my original point.
Well, Sacha Dhawan was amazing in that first part of that in particular, wasn't it?
And there were scenes where Jodie as the Doctor was playing it sort of really worried. You know, I'm out of my depth, not as an actor, but as the character.
Yeah.
I'm out of my depth. This is big. And she played those scenes very convincingly, I felt. And then the moment we go back to the sort of gurning expressions and speaking very fast like Matt Smith would do, you know, as soon as she reverted back to that, it was lost again. So I'm hoping with Big Finish, when I got the news that she would signed up to Big Finish, rather than going, oh, please, no, as a lot seems to be going on here, I was thinking, no, okay. I remember when Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy, their first Big Finishes, it transformed them really in the eyes of the fans, because before they did Big Finish, they were regarded by some as the Doctor who pulled it off. You know, it was going downhill in Colin's time, and Sylvester's period killed it off, and that was the kind of consensus. And then Big Finish proved that with good writing and just tweaking the characters here and there and they got the best out of them, and it was transformed.
Because Will, as somebody, I think that you, like me, I've always loved Colin's Doctor. Always.
I did.
Particularly Colin's.
Yeah.
And I've always liked Sylvester's take on the character as well, but I loved Colin's. And so when people really started to come round to him on audio, obviously I felt a bit vindicated, but I was delighted for Colin because he'd been served so poorly by politically whilst he was on the show. And I just felt really happy for him. And I was glad that other people were rediscovering or discovering that take on the character that I'd adored when I was a kid. It's like, I was right. He could do it. He is great. And now we just accept that Colin Baker's a great Doctor, don't we? It's not even questioned anymore.
Yeah, because they homed in on
because of Big Finish.
They homed in on what he did best. Like in the Two Doctors, where he does that soliloquy about nevermore a butterfly, you know. And rather than being cruel to Perry or being extremely sarcastic, those sort of elements were turned down. They weren't eradicated. They were toned down, and the more melancholy, moral crusader side of the Sixth Doctor was brought to the fore. And it transformed him just by those subtle changes. So I'm hoping that if they've got decent writers on it, I think I'll accept that. And there are some people who are just not going to accept what Jodie turns out, no matter who's writing it. But I hope the likes of John Dorney, Timothy X. Atack, Robert Valentine, these are my favourite Big Finish writers. If they tackle it, they might be able to just change things slightly, and Jodie might rise to the challenge. So I'm hopeful that they might be able to turn it into a more popular Doctor on audio than she was.
Because, I mean, for example, Nicholas Briggs writes fantastic, crowd-pleasing blockbusters for the ears, doesn't he? Classic adventure stories that anybody can get on board with, and a kind of a version of the character, whoever's playing it, that's instantly recognisable just in the things that they're saying. As you say, Rob Valentine, it's just one of Gary Russell still writes. All these people who are just great with characters. And seem to, I mean, I've no doubt that they don't just throw it together, but they just seem to be able to make these stories, that bring these stories together that make you feel like if you close your eyes, you can imagine what they were like on the TV. And so, bring those guys, and there's Una McCormack, the people like them, and Andy Lane, writers like that. I'd love to see them all come to, and I felt the same when Chris Eccleston joined Big Finish. Who are they going to put on this range? Who's going to fill it out? There's nothing would make me personally. There's nothing would make me listen to Jodie Whittaker on audio. But I'm trying to think for the people who are placed like yourself, who think, no, there is something here for me. And people out there who claim they're fans of hers. I think, well, for them, maybe I'd want for them what I got for Colin.
Yeah, it's like with Chris Eccleston. You know, when Chris said he wanted to sort of explore the kind of light comedy of the Doctor, and he felt he never quite got there with it on television. I feel he did personally, but he said he didn't. And then you get a story like Salvation 9 by Timothy X. Atack, where he ends up stuck with these Sontarans who all appear to be very nice, and the character of the Doctor is wondering throughout, when are they going to turn on me? When is the truth of it coming out? And in the end, he ends up having to, or is motivated to save the Sontarans from some people who want to wipe them out. It's a lovely story, and really gives Chris what he said he wanted, to have this lighter side to his character as the Doctor. So they really can pull it out of the bag. As you say, they've done it with Colin Baker and with Sylvester McCoy. They've given Paul McGann a whole legacy just from one movie. And now he's one of the favourite Doctors in the Big Finish range because of what they've done with him. So I am daring to hope that, especially if the writers I admire from Big Finish are part of this new series, I will give her a chance. I'll give her a go, because I think if the writing's good, she will appeal more than she did on television.
I mean, I can absolutely respect. I can completely respect that, Will. I know, Matt, you're in a similar mindset to me, aren't you? It's like I'll never in a million years where I'm concerned. But where were you surprised to see this announced? Do you listen to much audio drama?
I actually wasn't surprised to hear it announced, because I knew it had come eventually. She hasn't done. It's not like she's Capaldi, It's not like she's getting a lot of work lately, and so
it did make me chuckle. Matt Smith played the part 10 years ago on TV. Still haven't got him. Peter Capaldi's been out of the role for 6 or 7 years, nowhere to be seen. Jodie Whittaker, 18 months. Yeah, I'm free.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. I mean, when she was announced, that broke my heart. I was like, that was the point where that actual point was, I'm out. I'm not watching this. This isn't made for me anymore. They've gone totally out of.
Yeah. You didn't sit around and complain about it for 4 years like I did. You just stopped watching.
No, and then I think it was 2 years in, I was watching from the sidelines, and I bought the first series of a series because I was just like, I'll wait and see how it all goes out. But for now, I'm not watching it. And then when they announced when they had the insert Doctor come in, that's when I started to feel angry, because then I knew that they were trying to change what had come before, and I was livid. I remember the day I was
the editorial.
My friends. My friend was still watching it, and I said, "Have you seen what they have done to this?"
Because those are editorial, and production calls, aren't they? The actors, obviously, they don't have a say in any of that. I mean, it probably all went over not just Whittaker's head, but everybody on the cast's head. You know, it's like, you want me to say what now? Stand there, say that, and don't bump into the monsters, as Sylvester would say, I suppose.
I would have probably minded it too, but like, I mean, I went back in for the power of the Doctor, and there was no feminine quality to her whatsoever.
It was weird, wasn't it? A weird character.
It was the first time I'd actually watched an episode with her in it.
By that point, Matt, it was a nothing character. It had completely even the initial beats to the character in the first few weeks of series 1, even they weren't there anymore. It's as if the showrunner had stopped trying.
She seemed quite vacuous, and I just didn't warm to her even for that final episode. I mean, I'd heard lots of things about her and that, but it was just the fact that it didn't even seem that she'd grown as a character.
No, in my view, the character actually went backwards, and because she wasn't given, kind of like we've suggested, and so that didn't stimulate Whittaker at all. So for somebody who was already struggling, there was nothing there to help her whatsoever. Let's look at some of the comments here in the live chat. David Mullen can't imagine that voice on audio, and that's kind of where I am as well. Divining Dragon, though, says, I didn't enjoy the Whittaker run. I thought it was dull, preachy, and remained poorly executed on a narrative level. I really dislike the canon damaging aspect. But Over the Overseer says, I know I am not alone in this sentiment, but I do genuinely hope Jodie gets the opportunity to finally define her Doctor with Big Finish. You can't deny her talent and love for Doctor Who. I mean, I don't know the woman, so people say they love it. If you want them to say they love it, I think
she loves her Doctor Who. I think she loves. I think that's the Doctor Who she knows, and I think she loved the time on it. And what she knows about Doctor Who, I think, is that stuff that she made. Personally,
they clearly had a good time on it, didn't they? Will
it sounds like they had a riot. The actors themselves, they all got on very well, and whether or not we received it that way is something else. But I think she loved the show that she made. So I think when she says she loves Doctor Who, I think she means that rather than the entire thing.
Over the Overseer goes on to say, it's the same goes for Mandip. They deserve better. I mean, I thought that Mandip was considerably better in her role, but I got the impression that the actress went from somebody who was giving it her all at first to eventually getting very visibly bored on screen. Cybermat Strikes says, Jodie's era had some good promise, but the payoffs fell short. There's a lot more constructive criticism now in the live chat here across YouTube than there would have been a couple of years ago. So I think people are reflecting differently, and now that it's in the past, it's maybe the scar tissue is starting to sort of heal over a little, and he feels that Russell T Davies has carried that forward, sadly. As long as they bring back the talking frog, I'm in, says Gary Akers there in the live chat. And Stephen Braddock says, I like some of her stories, but very few. And one of them, he lists Arachnids in the UK, was one of the worst things I ever watched. She's 30 episodes, says David Mullen, and apparently they were all bad writing. It's a combination of things, really. Darren Bradley says, if Big Finish try expanding on the Thasmin relationship, so that's the shipping, isn't it, Shaw? Shipping is a very social media thing. It's kind of a hangover from the old platform Tumblr, isn't it? Where people would create fan art and get very obsessive about two characters in either a movie or a TV show. I think it might have started with the Raylo thing in the Star Wars sequels, but it could have even started before then, for all I know.
Probably. I don't know. I don't really get invested in that. I've never liked romantic relationships in Doctor Who. I always say my only exception is River. So when anything happens with that, I just really like her. I just really like the chemistry she has with Capaldi, probably more than Smith. But she's the only one that I forgive. But any others, even like Rose and Tennant, I couldn't stand that. So yeah, it's just not something I get involved in at all. I don't have any interest in it, so it's just not my thing.
Talking about getting involved, Shaw, Peter Harrington wants your dog in the live chat.
In the chat.
Ben Casey, banging away on the keypad. Ben Casey says she's got no aura as the Doctor. And Jodie Comer, somebody's asking for Jodie Comer. So, yeah, I wonder if we're...
Lovely.
Hashtag on Twitter. There was a hashtag when Jodie Comer was really becoming a big star with Killing Eve. And they would talk about Doctor Who, and it'd be hashtag the wrong Jodie. I remember that coming up when people would talk about Jodie Whittaker, and it would be hashtag the wrong Jodie because people were seeing Killing Eve and what she was doing in that. So it's interesting.
I quite like Jodie Comer. Yeah. Stephen Braddock's not on board. He just says big finished.
I think the Doctor's one might save it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
That trailer, yeah.
And Ben Casey, yeah, he's very much where I am with this.
I just wonder how they go about how Big Finish go about looking at the numbers and looking at we need, are they looking at selling it at a loss? That sort of thing.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Matt, because that's very much my take. I mean, when I saw this announced and listed, I sincerely couldn't believe my eyes. I've got a lot of Big Finish stuff. I was a completist for a long, long time. I respect the work they do, and I know several people who work on various different lines in one capacity or another. And I think some of the best Doctor Who stories ever made have come from Big Finish, and I did think this was abject lunacy when I first saw it. And then, after consideration, I thought, well, hang on. Big Finish have been making this stuff for 25 years. It's a business. I would imagine that they've looked into how cost-effective this is. They will have perhaps done some sort of market research and found that there's a market of whatever size and have come to a budget of what they can deliver to budget and how many copies they could expect to sell of each CD or download. And that's up to them. It's their business, not mine. And the fact of the matter is, although this era, I loathe it, all of it, apart from Kablam. Although that still stands, and I won't ever revisit these stories. If there's an audience out there for this who are sincerely going to buy this, I don't want to begrudge them that which they enjoy. If there's a market for it, nobody's forcing me to buy it, and certainly nobody's ever going to force me to listen to it. But there's lots of ranges at Big Finish that I don't listen to. Stuff that isn't Doctor Who, or even some stuff that is that it just isn't to my taste. So either the format doesn't work for me, or for any one of a number of reasons. It's my money, so I buy what I like. And what I object to with the TV shows is that they got my license fee money. I've got every right to complain about what in my view, they ran that series into the ground, miscast this character, and creatively damaged the entire brand. I've got good reason to complain, but here. It's not for this is the definition of something that's not for me. I totally respect where you're coming from, Will. Not as a fan, as an optimist. I'm an optimist too. I wish my cup was as full as yours, but I'm an optimist too. And I think, this doesn't actually affect me in any way. I do want Big Finish to stay in business, and sincerely, if you like this stuff out there and you want to commit to buying those, then I would never begrudge you that. Fly Highland says, didn't Dan consider the Frog episode to be when the Chibnall era jumped the shark? Yes, I did. I still do. I believed Doctor Who, new Doctor Who, at the production from 2005 onwards, the entirety of it jumped the shark with that episode. But Over the Overseer, that's just my personal belief, just speaking for myself. Kablam is definitely the best episode, says Over the Overseer. It was good, that was. I like Pete McTighe's writing quite a lot, usually. And lots of fans of Sacha Dhawan as the Master. Again, if it wasn't for Sacha, I was committed to watching those episodes. If it wasn't for what Bradley Walsh was doing initially, he got bored as well, in my opinion, but particularly what Sacha Dhawan was doing as the Master.
Are you going to try the Master box set, Dan, the Sacha Dhawan? Are you going to have a go at that?
It would depend on the premise. I like the idea, and I do like Doctor Who stories, Shaw, outside of the TV shows, like comic strips, Matt, that are geared around the Master. There was a Roger Delgado comic strip in Doctor Who magazine. I love that stuff.
And on
so,
Watch.
if there's a premise that's appealing to me, I would definitely listen to Sacha Dhawan. And again, just like you say, Will, because I know that there's some writers at Big Finish who can flesh that all out and do some interesting things with him. I think that's very, very possible. Starhoovian, the notorious Starhoovian on X, says, believe it or not, I mean, this man is kind of public enemy number one to some people over on X, but he says here, they put him down as every kind of unpleasant name. It's desperately unfair. Starhoovian says, I was fully behind Jodie when she was announced. Even after the debut episode, I liked her. But her mistake was never getting out of the hyper post-regeneration performance. She never evolved. The characterization never evolved. That's what he's saying. She never wore
a dress, did she? She never wore a dress in the series.
She wore a sort of kimono in the Legend of the Sea Devils. One of the later ones doesn't count. No, but it was floral. Is what I'm saying. It was feminine. It was feminine.
Okay.
Cheryl says, I want to say that Colin shines with Big Finish. I mean, I think Colin shines everywhere. I bloody love that man.
Hello, Cheryl, by the way. I caught you before when you said hi, but couldn't say hi back. So I'm saying it now. Hello, Cheryl.
Cheryl's here. Cheryl's here going at it in the live chat there in the nicest possible way, of course. Ben Casey Casey's proper venting, aren't you, sir? Proper venting. Stephen Braddock says the Genocide Machine is a classic story. I would agree. I love that one.
Great
one. Some brilliant Big Finish stories in the past.
He wrote that. Excellent writer.
Over the Overseer is re-listening to early Paul McGann's, and he considers some ropey. But they remind me of the way Big Finish used to structure season arcs. Oh, that's right. And develop characters. There's real shape to them. They were very ambitious, very creative. It was sophisticated.
I'd say Doom Coalition for Paul McGann. Try that. It's 16 one-hour episodes across 4 box sets. A brilliant saga.
Yeah, I love all that stuff. Lord Thoth says, "Call me in 10 years when they reboot who again." I think Lord Thoth could be blackpilled. And Stephen Braddock agrees with you, Shah. No romance in Doctor Who. Whoever the parties are. I think a lot of Doctor Who fans do feel that way. Really, we can stand the River Song stuff, and that's about it. I couldn't stand Jodie Comer as the Doctor. I'd be too distracted, says Over the Overseer. Oh, bless him. And what else have we got? David Mullen says Tom Baker saw his predecessors regularly. He was a regular watcher of Doctor Who. I think he was. Mo Shah says, I think Shah would make a better Doctor. There we go. Than Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, don't say that. It will only go to my head. But, challenge accepted.
She has boobs.
I do. I do. I grew them myself. But I'm not quite sure what I can do with them.
Mr. Bradley Miller in the live chat says, I love the Rose Tyler Dimension Canon box set. I think Big Finish is great at giving people what they want when one has an interest in a particular character. That's exactly the kind of thing I was talking about. I decided that range probably wasn't for me. I like Rose Tyler, but I read the premise. I thought that's not really for me. I'll wait until I hear a good word about it. So actually, Bradley, you saying that, I'm now thinking, well, maybe I should give that a go. And I know people who listen to even more Big Finish than I do, and so I've got a fair idea about the kind of thing that I could like. Over the Overseer says, good point, Stan. Thank you very much. If you see a Big Finish release and it doesn't tickle your fancy, you just skip it. Exactly. It's just not for me. In the same way that if I'm in the supermarket, I would walk past the pickled onion Munster Munch and go straight to the roast beef. Well, it's the same. It's only the same thing in principle.
Absolutely.
Still shocking behaviour, though.
Yeah. I can't possibly read that out, Ben.
God.
Are you seriously saying you need to know all about the character's progress to play a scripture given? No, but I think in hindsight, when you look back on a creative period of something, Shah, I think that's kind of what we're pointing to, isn't it? It's all with hindsight, and hindsight is always 20/20, isn't it?
I'm sure it certainly helps. Matt Smith got away with playing the character as he did because he made it his own. That's the difference. He didn't watch, the Doctor Who episodes. He wasn't a Doctor Who fan. Probably did it for, to to work on his character. That's probably about it. But the hyper thing worked for him because that was his character. It's little things like that. You can't write another character. Sorry, you can't write the same energy for another character, whether or not it is the same Doctor or not. Same character or not. You just can't write them the same because the actor needs a chance to make the character their own. And I don't think Jodie was allowed the opportunity to do that. But we can't just, scapegoat everything else. She needed to be right for the part, and her acting range just didn't cover the Doctor. It's a very difficult thing to, person to cast, because you need to have it, and she didn't.
Yeah, Tom Baker was wrong. It's not an actor-proof part. Even Tom Baker can be wrong, even the great Tom Baker. Thanks, Dan. At least someone doesn't hate me, says Star Whovian. No, we're all adults here, Star Whovian. All adults. Divining Dragon says the Doctor is not supposed to be romantic by nature. No, I agree with you. I think the Doctor is a romantic figure. So other people view him romantically in a romantic.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean as a potential partner and a romantic or sexual partner. I mean, there's a romance and awe around that character in the same way there is around classical heroes, people like Heathcliff or Mr. Darcy or Phileas Fogg or one of those characters.
I worry now that they've crossed that major line now, that they'll go back and do what they were what they were always, purporting to say, under their own breath, what was going to happen with the whole Tasman thing, So they'll do the whole, 13 romance thing, and maybe they'll
give the fans of that era what they want and what they maybe didn't get on screen.
Wanted. Yeah, exactly. But not only that, but go further back and start changing things, And I feel that that was unfortunately the line I think was crossed. And it can never ever go back on now. It's unless they did a complete and utter reboot, which I wouldn't even.
Do you mean Matt? Do you mean like when they decided that Audred was bisexual? Do you think go back through and retcon the history of it to make it fit what we have now? Is that what you mean?
Have they actually said he's bisexual?
I think. I don't know where I read.
It's been alluded to, hasn't it?
I think in Big Finish that they have done a story where he's bisexual. I've not heard it.
And in that case, then yes, I think that they would.
I mean, obviously, a few days before this announcement of Jodie Whittaker joining Big Finish, they announced that Jo Martin would be leading a one-off adventure. I believe that she's recorded a series of box sets too, but she was leading a one-off adventure that ends the Once and Future 60th anniversary line. So perhaps they'll continue some of that there. But again, as long as I don't have to listen to it, and that I certainly won't be parting with money for it. And all of this nonsense and all of that nonsense, it can carry on and exist in its own little world. And people can have it if they want it, and I'll just have my thing and I'll do my thing. And never the twain shall meet. I think we'll all be. I think that's a healthier attitude to have.
It's not for me, that one, Dan. It's not for me. When I watched her doing it on television, she always reminded me of that character Liz 10, in The Beast Below.
Yeah,
that kind of bolshy cockney, all right, cocker, all that sort of stuff, and it didn't feel like the Doctor to me. I know that there are fans who like her and would rather have her than Jodie play it. But to me, the Jo Martin one is even less like the Doctor than the Jodie Whittaker.
Well, the fact that she carries a massive gun is also a real anachronism as well. But over the series, right, the inside of the TARDIS there was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, so looking at this this new line of releases there from Big Finish that are coming up, generally speaking, again, Will, I completely respect your opinion, and I hope that you and anybody else who may look to part money for the range will get something of what you want from it. It won't affect me in any way, but I have dug a little into this because I felt the same way as you. I thought, well, there's some great writers at Big Finish. There are. Let's see who they get, and this is offered. This is just me commenting on this now. So I did a little bit of digging, and I found out that the producer. So yes, this is the producer of this range, Noga Flashon, a young woman who is She's got quite a colourful social media presence. And she said when this was announced, I can finally scream about this in all caps. Nothing could have prepared me for what joy those two are to work with. So they've obviously started making these already. I feel so honoured by the show of trust of letting me produce this range. Going to keep working hard to earn it. This is going to be incredible. Well, I thought that was absolutely fine and quite a nice sentiment. Again, it's fine by me. Dug a little deeper and found a further comment that said, so I'm looking to connect with audio writers of colour, specifically those with a soft spot in their heart for Doctor Who. So, for me, this, if I wasn't out before, I would be out now. Discrimination of this kind creatively means it's more likely to be more of the same. This is the exact same culture that drove the TV series into a wall. So if people want more of the same, I would advise caution going forward. But anybody who is excited for the range, sincerely, I wish you well. And as long as nobody expects me to listen to it.
If they're going to do another kind of Rosa Parks type story, if they're going to sort of address colour and race, I don't mind that, providing it's balanced and all arguments and all views are represented in the story. I felt with the Rosa Parks one, it wasn't balanced really. I felt it was a real missed opportunity when I watched that. That you had every white character in it was nasty to the black characters in it, except for the Doctor and Graham, and it wouldn't have been like that back then. There were white people who favoured black people. And there were white people who wanted to see an end to slavery. And there were, it was white people who championed all that in real history. So if you're going to do a story about black versus white, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. But let's have it as it really was, and more nuanced rather than just heavily going in one direction with it, to get some kind of message across.
Particularly on audio, where there's, it's more intimate and obviously with a line of merchandise that people really want to hear. Otherwise, they wouldn't pay for it. Yeah. So let us know what you think out there.
Goes the right way,
Yeah. I'm hoping so. Like I say,
that all out myself, the producer, provided we're going to get good stories.
Yeah, maybe they've already got a few writers and she just wants to even it out. But it does make you wonder. Look, anybody out there, leave us your comments there in the comments section. Are you willing to give this incarnation of the character a second try? Are you a Jodie Whittaker fan? We've always said here at Type 40, all opinions are welcome. We are outside of the era now. These characters are now in fresh, creative hands. Let us know if you're willing to give it another try. Were you surprised to see Jodie Whittaker join Big Finish this early, or was it always inevitable? Let us know what you think over there in the comments section. Okay, what next? Let's head here.
That cursed Doctor is interfering with my plans, but I will destroy the universe. He won't be able to stop me, but you might if you watch Type 40.
If that doesn't put a shiver up your spine, I don't know what will. The conversations continue here at Type 40 Live, even though Doctor Who is off TV screens for another few months. There's panels and whispers of all sorts of things that are going to be coming over the summer. We're going to continue to have lots of fun here with the past, the present, and the future. But they've got one more thing I almost forgot, because this is something new. This time we are going to leave the TARDIS door ajar here for a look across the never-ending shelves in the Doctor Who cabinet of curiosities from dedicated fans, inventive, resourceful, or just plain lucky companions out there who've squirreled away treasures of their own that you're happy to disclose with us here at Type 40 Live. And this one, I thought this was fantastic. Well, I saw this on social media the other day, shared by Rob Moss. And if this isn't an item of curiosity, I don't know what is. Check this out. So I think you'll probably be able to work out what it is. But did you see this?
Yeah. A real police box phone panel. Yeah.
Apparently so.
What a wonderful thing to own.
Yeah, and Rob has been good enough to share pictures of it on social media. Apparently, it's got plastic across the panel, Shah, rather than glass. But seeing one of these, a genuine police box sign from heaven knows when, back, it'd probably be in the 40s or even the 50s, I don't know. But seeing one up this close with all the metalwork and the rivets, I don't know, it does feel like you can reach out and touch actual history, doesn't it?
Oh, I love it. I always gloat massively that Leicestershire's got a police box in the national park. Yeah. I'll take you one day. You have to come up. You have to travel half an hour my way.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, and yeah, it says there's one there as well. And doesn't look anything like that though. So that's really cool. I love that.
Well, there's a story. There is a story behind that, because the first police boxes were actually American, as I've only found out this week. Back in the 1800s, we didn't actually start using them in Britain or versions of them until well into the 20th century, and different regions all over Britain. Exactly, different regions all over Britain all had different designs and orientations, and I think most of them were blue, but some of them were green and red, various other colours. But it was in the 1920s that these boxes that we recognise from Doctor Who, that these came into use when the Metropolitan Police decided to introduce police boxes to London. They wanted them all to look pretty uniformed. So they were designed by a man called Gilbert Mackenzie Trench. And the early boxes were made of wood, as I'm sure lots of you know, but on Trench's suggestion, later they're made out of concrete instead. And yes, behind the little door there, of course, there's the phone, adorably just sat on a little shelf inside, Matt.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I don't know. It was always weird, the fact that they never really looked at the phone in the original series. So when they actually brought it into the new series, it was like, it's not supposed to work. You know, I thought that was cool. You know, but yeah, it's just one of the greatest designs ever. And who knew when the guy was designing it that it would be so iconic.
Absolutely.
They cost 43 quid each to manufacture. Well, the boxes that went across London, and there were 700 boxes by 1937. So that was so it's an 8-year period to put 700 in place all across London. I'd love to be able to walk around and just see them everywhere like that. I don't think I've ever seen one in real life.
I suppose in the 1960s and early 70s, children watching Doctor Who would see these boxes on street corners and go, oh yeah, the TARDIS is disguised as one of those. Whereas now, a police box is the TARDIS, isn't it? In the minds of the public.
Yeah.
If you show them this picture, they won't say, oh, a police box.
It's actually
the TARDIS. Yeah. I like also the fact that you can see that the phone is positioned so that if the policeman goes inside, he can use the phone himself. We always see them stood outside that panel making a call, don't we? But that's the public, free for use of public. The telephone is, if he goes in and sits at his table, he would use that telephone without being seen. I think Logopolis is the only time in the original series it was seen, wasn't it? Where the policeman's making a call on the Barnet bypass.
I think so.
And then the Master's TARDIS materializes around it, and then the Doctor's TARDIS materializes around that. So that's the only time in the original series. I had no idea, growing up watching it, that the phone was in that panel. I assumed, until I saw Logopolis, that everyone would go inside it like an ordinary telephone box to make their
So
call.
did I.
Do you know what, Will? So did I, until I saw it at Hooverville, and then even had a bit of a chat with someone on the phone in it. I had no idea. It's an absolute treat for me.
So behind a door just like this would have sat a humble telephone. There, sort of Baker-light thing. They're waiting for a copper. You do wonder what stories an item like this could tell if it could talk. It's a real slice of history, and whether Rob's a Doctor Who fan or not, and I suspect he probably is. It's just a nice thing to own, to have in your home, and to look after, to preserve for the next generation, Matt.
Yeah, he's obviously a Minion fan because the Minions are up the top. If you look above it is the Minion there. So,
got an eye for a snack, haven't you, Matt? Duncan Shaw says this is cool. Stephen Braddock says it's beautiful. Fly Highland says when they were making the movie in 1996, the Americans wanted to change the phone box, but were convinced to keep it when they found out phone boxes originated in America. Oh, I see. So that is common knowledge. Darren from
the original ones in America seem to be on a post, on an actual lamppost type thing. So they weren't actual boxes.
You do see them. I think you do see them in silent films now and again. And there was police posts in London as well.
Yeah, Keystone Cop type thing, yeah.
Sorry, Matt, I was just going to ask, did you guys have anything like that back in the day, or is that purely
no, nothing at all. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we've got nothing of, well, I mean, I'm not that old.
Oh no! I'm not suggesting that for a second.
Yeah, no. I mean, I would have loved it. Oh my god, when I saw my first TARDIS, that was I was like, please take a photo. Oh my god.
He had a moment.
Yeah. I mean,
but it was only a recreation one too, and it was wrong. Apparently, Peter Davison said it was too big because apparently that someone made it too big. But yeah, it's a wonder to see. You know, it's like one of those things where you see, you know, your first Dalek, or you know, you meet your.
Dan was there when I saw mine.
That was priceless. I'll never forget your face that day, Shah. Cam says the police box is so iconically a British symbol to me as an American, and Ezra Goldstein reminds us of the tragedy, the vandalism, that police boxes were decommissioned by the late 1960s. Fly Highland also has an eye for the snacks there. That's a Mr. Kipling box with Minions on it. And Duncan Shaw says, I was born in 1966, exactly when the police boxes were decommissioned. Peter Harrington said it was police walkie-talkies and car radios that finally killed them off. Oh, this sounds good. Darren Bradley says, check out Bill Owen's 1971 comedy series, Copper's End, which is up on YouTube, apparently. I'll have to look for that. A series where they still made regular use of the police box. I'll have to go and see that. Rob did add on X here. He said, they asked him, how did you come by this? And he said, I saw an ex-policeman who mentioned that he'd picked it up when the box was demolished. So I casually asked if he fancied selling it. I never expected him to part with it, to be honest. So he's a bit of a chancer there, Rob, by the sounds of it. Good for him. If you don't ask, you don't get, Will.
Absolutely. I live by that motto.
Oh, God. You can't take it. Tell you what, the beat looks like. It could be quite heavy as well. Let us know what you think of that. And if you have any pics or stories to tell, items of curiosity who have their own tale to tell, maybe we could help you dust it down on a future edition here of Type 40 Live. Past editions of our show are here for you to enjoy again, or for the very first time. Hit up the playlists for lots of these previous live streams, reviews, deep dive reviews of classic and new series stories, reaction shows to some of the recent explosive special episodes, and pimp outs of classics such as the Redux of Pyramids of Mars just a few short weeks ago, as well as our regular editions of Type 40 Live. There's the early edition here on Monday and the big weekend edition every Thursday as well, with the Doctor Who Diary and the ad break and everything else. So come and enjoy all that. Reach out to us through our social media. That's Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who. Thank you Thank you, Missy. Or you can join us in the Type 40 Facebook group at your leisure. It gets quite messy over there, as you can imagine, with these two slugging it out every single day. There, that's a terrible joke, isn't it? Just nod and say, yes, Dan, yes, Dan. Yes, so you could join us there in the Type 40 Facebook group and debate to your heart's content about which series was the best, whether it was the classic series or the new series, as well as the merits or not of all new Doctor Who starring Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson, and in time, Varada Sethu, the star of Wimbledon in my house, coming very soon. And also coming very soon, Will, is this Will Hadcroft's Dark Contract is the next in the audio originals line there from BBC Audio. Yes, so when's this out again, Will? Give them the quick pitch before we go.
It's out 1st of August, and I think I have a piece coming up in Doctor Who magazine as well to promote it. I've written it and sent it in, so I hope so.
That's fair.
Even better. So get that pre-ordered and check out our preview video as well with Will from a few short weeks ago, where he told as much as he could about Dark Contract. No spoilers, but lots of little peeks into the writing process and what informs your fandom and some of your writing as well. Well, it's always fantastic to spend time with you. Thanks for coming back on the live stream this time. Matt, obviously it's early morning for you there as our real life time traveller. Anything colourful happening yet on Tuesday? How's it looking for you?
Well, we've got flood warnings at the moment, so
oh bloody hell!
Yeah, it's been raining for the last 3-4 days, so yeah, we're that's why my internet's a bit funny, but yeah, it's yeah, so I'm hoping that I'll stay dry.
Stay dry.
Let's hope we'll have to build an ark to get you. If you build an ark, you get over it. You go to England.
We're going to break him free.
I'll make sure I bring 2 women on board too.
I'm sure.
Never has a day off. Break Matt Pop free of the Southern Hemisphere. That's our next campaign here at Type 40 Live. We may even give it its own hashtag. So yes, join us. Join us again.
UK. Come on.
Join us again on Rumble, X, YouTube, and on Facebook for more Type 40 Live hot takes, pet peeves, rants, and raves. Next time, sure, we haven't been able to see you, but at least we've been able to hear you, my flower. I'm so glad you could make it, even if you're stuck in a time eddy.
I know. I'm really, really sorry that you only get to hear my voice. You don't get the double whammy though. But next week,
it left a lot to the imagination.
You don't get the double whammy.
I would hate to say a word about that, but yeah, always a pleasure to see you guys, and yeah, really nice to see you, Will, especially, and really well done, I'm dead pleased for you. Made up.
It's good, isn't it? When good things happen for good and creative people. We're going to jam it right in there, everybody. Back here for more Type 40 Live later on in the week and throughout the rest of 2024. Of course we are. Keep those comments coming. We want more of that. Whilst we're going to go run around in the TARDIS for a little while. There's plenty of room. I'll probably bang my arm or my leg or my arse, my elbow off one of these metal struts there. Who knows? But we always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. We'll see you back here in a few days. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.